It's been said that our guest today is all gas and no brakes, and we can't wait for you to find out why. Brittany Hebert Franklin came into our studio and may have been the first guest that equally matched Jenn's energy. Brittany has been working since she was 13 years old, raised an initial $10,000 for St. Jude at 21, and is currently working on raising $40 million for Texas Children's Hospital and St. Jude's. She's currently the founder and CEO of Sky High for Kids, an organization dedicated to providing comfort, funding research, and saving the lives of those fighting pediatric cancer and other life-threatening diseases. Rania and Jenn had a blast talking with Brittany about how she became so driven and the work she's currently doing through Sky High. This is The Balanced Voice.
How fun is it to have Brittany with us?
So fun. I like her personality.
Oh, yeah, you too.
Yeah, we are two peas in a pod.
We probably should not go out together.
No, you have to go. And we need to. Can we film that?
Well, it'd be like Coyote Ugly, I'm sure. We'd be on the bars and bar tables and all kinds of stuff.
That would be the reality TV show for Houston, Texas.
For Houston. Seriously, okay, I'm going to just take a step aside. You're both powerhouses. Honestly, Jenn is an oil and gas executive who's now consulting, but has actually done so much in the space of human trafficking, rescuing kids and doing unbelievable things. Brittany, I don't think there's a day that I look at what you're doing where I'm not moved to tears. Honestly, what you do for children, not just in this city, but in so many other cities, is so inspiring. And you just had this massive event. You raised $1 million.
Wow.
And a luncheon $1 million at a Sunday women's only luncheon.
Women's only luncheon.
Women's only. It's ladies who brunch. No men allowed.
So they had their own checkbooks, didn't even ask daddy.
Exactly.
I love it.
In fact, while two women were fighting over who was going to win this dog at about $15,000, one started to sweat a little bit, and I looked at her, and on the microphone in front of all 600 women, I said, "Don't you worry, girl. You ain't got to ask your husband."
I saw that.
You got your money. You a working
We
woman.
bleep here, by the way.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we bleep.
You a working woman. And the whole crowd went nuts, and it was a beautiful thing. And then...
How did I not get an invite to this thing?
We're going next year.
Next year, y'all are coming.
Okay.
My personal guest.
I want to go and support you.
Yes.
And
amazing. Were you there?
No, but I was watching, and she... you had a little girl there who rang the bell.
After 915 days of really, really, really hard treatment for lymphoma.
Wow.
She was 9 when she was diagnosed. Lives in Katy, Texas. Like a very just amazing kid. You know, that kid that has that glow and that you know is going to be something special? That's Peyton. And she went through 2.5 years of
rough,
to be honest.
Yeah.
And, right now they can't have the normal bell ringing ceremony that they did pre-COVID.
Why? I heard you say that, but I didn't know that.
What?
Yeah, before COVID, well, because your friends, your family, everybody could go. You could have this big old celebration.
So you're saying these hospitals are still locked down for the cancer
Somewhat. Yeah, I mean, our organization used to go in every month and host paint parties and activities with the kids.
Yeah.
And we still cannot do that. We just got the green light to send 2 of our employees in to have a very private and, safe, COVID-friendly paint activity.
Now, I have to be honest. I've kind of now wondered after we've gone through this, like, why weren't we wearing masks, though, especially people with cancer? Their immune systems are really immunosuppressed. Why weren't we wearing masks when we go to in those kind of areas? Or those,
to begin with.
To begin with.
Yeah,
like, we probably should have been doing that to begin with, no matter if COVID was here, but just from a virus. Yeah.
Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that when we go visit, the kids when we're in the hospital, some might have a mask on, but majority don't. And so I've never asked the questions of why or
but I think the guests should.
Yeah, me too.
I think we're
now that you say that, yes. I mean, I think you have to go in, right? You obviously cannot have a fever. You cannot even have the slightest common cold. And respectfully, people don't go into the hospital with those types of risk factors. To go interact with the kids. But Peyton didn't get to have this big old huge ceremony, so we surprised her. And Dr. Zoanne Dreyer, who's over the leukemia leukemia, lymphoma division at Texas Children's Cancer Center, came on stage, read a poem, and then Grace Clark, our event director's dad, took their grandfather's Navy bell, this huge, beautiful Navy bell, painted it gold, because gold is the color of Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and built a huge bell on like rollers. So we have cowboys that come and help me with the auction, and they put it on stage behind her. And when she answered her couple of questions for her Q&A, she had no idea. And we said, I want you to ring this bell like you never rang a bell.
So you were interviewing Peyton
on
stage, and then you ring up, you pull up this
bell. Bring this bell up. She rings the bell. The confetti cannons go off. All 650 women stand.
650 women
stand, applaud, cry, and they stood up for 10 minutes. Like no one wanted to sit down. And then I grabbed Peyton's hand and we went down the catwalk because we do a big fashion show, and she strutted all the way down and all the way back. And it was the most beautiful, bone-chilling moment that you'll never forget. And for her, you know, to be at this huge milestone in life and trying to re-identify who she is, right? After going through something like this, when her two siblings were healthy and her friends are healthy, and you know,
she's 12 now.
She's 11 now.
She's 11 now.
Cancer's the worst. Can you? I mean, let alone for a child.
A child.
And this is what you do now, Brittany. You've left the oil and gas industry. This is what you do full time.
Full time.
You're now a mom. Last time I saw you.
It's crazy. But I love it so much.
How old is baby?
She's 5 months.
She's so cute.
She is.
They don't argue. Like? They don't argue at that age.
Oh, she is just
so smiling.
Amazing.
Cute.
And she's a good baby.
Oh.
We started Moms on Call. I don't know if you've heard of this, which is this new schedule to follow for sleep training.
Oh God!
And I started it at 6 weeks, and by like week 8, she was sleeping, 10 hours a night.
I figure your
wow, so that works.
Has a journal too, like your famous journals. I'm sure Stevie's like, oh, let me write in nap time. Let me write in sleep. Let me write in.
I was
eating.
a horrible mom.
She's already.
I was like, grab your. Let's go. We'll be back at 10. We're going to get up at 8 today, and tomorrow we're going to get up at 11.
Or
like,
go with
you don't
want to take a nap.
You're going to be flexible.
Okay,
I was like, you need to be flexible. But sleeping 10 hours? Okay, maybe I should have done that.
Well, I just knew that going back into the workforce the way I wanted to, right, which is full time. And as my development coordinator just quoted, Brittany is all gas and no breaks.
That's so true.
I worked in oil and gas and built Sky High at the same time. So for 14 years, I was traveling the country selling pipeline products, and then at night I was asking people for money and setting up events, right?
Yeah, same. I started Houston 20 and all that while I was working. Yeah,
right?
It's hard.
So you leave one career and then the other career just like explodes, right?
It's amazing.
Because you could work 24/7 in the line of work that we do. And so I knew that I had to be very disciplined if I was going to be able to accomplish everything that I want to accomplish in the daytime. So, my morning starts at 5:30 a.m. I get my stuff done, read my little daily Bible, take my dogs out. My Labrador is crazy and wants to play ball and fetch. And then,
what's the husband doing?
Well, he's usually running or working out. He does the gym thing, which is great. He does do his stress reliever. Then coffee and get ready, and then boom. Little Stevie James is starting to twirl around in that crib at about 6:30, 6:45. I go pick her up at, about 7 o'clock.
I love that you used boy name for a girl.
So Stevie, I love Stevie Nicks, by the way. Fleetwood Mac is just one of my faves. Yeah. But my uncle, who unfortunately passed in a car accident when he was 20, he was Mark Steven. So pulled that, and then my husband is James.
Yeah.
Goes by Bobby. So Stevie James Franklin. And and then we start our routine with scrambled toes and cheese. So because she's eating her toes right now.
Love it.
I thought you said scrambled toast. I was like, what?
No, toes. Yes, toes.
The flexibility is
it's
amazing.
Insane. I'm like, okay, are you going to be a gymnast?
Could you put your foot in your mouth right now? I don't know.
So we have scrambled toes and cheese, sausage cheeks.
Yes.
And a sugar bowl.
She's so
cute.
I want you to be my mom. I bet there's like songs with that and
I make it up.
Yeah. But it wasn't an easy road for little Stevie James, was it?
No. My husband and I started trying, as soon as we got married, March of 2020. Of course, our wedding was canceled, COVID, the whole 9 yards.
Yes, I remember this.
Because I was 35 when I got married.
Okay.
I married a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We
You
had one of those.
distance wedding, from what I remember, right?
Yeah, it was one of those things where you had to go to the courthouse, and then people line up on the side of the road.
ABC 13 did a story on it. I remember.
What?
Yes.
What?
ABC 13
I'm
did
so
a
out of
We
touch.
were
story.
supposed to go to Abbeville, Louisiana,
Yeah.
Cajun hometown.
Yeah.
Have this big Catholic wedding and dancing and gumbo and all the things.
I love it.
And that was, shut down. So we go to the Brazoria County Courthouse, get married, and we didn't know this, but all of the neighbors and friends of my in-laws lined up on the side of the road because they all lived there. Right?
Yeah.
They dressed in their tuxedos and gowns. And when we came turned down to go to his,
You didn't know they were going to be there.
No, they had signs and they were toasting to us, and so it was all videoed on people's phones. And the news picked it up, right? Because this was right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So before
I feel like yours, that was one of the first local, parades.
We were right out of the gates.
Yeah.
I mean, our wedding was March 20th and the world shut down on March 17th.
Yeah. I remember.
Oh, wow, that's right.
Literally.
My dad ended up having a birthday party
3 days before our priest calls. And
So you kept your date. You kept your date.
Kept the date.
You didn't move it. You
We
just
didn't
kept the
move
date and just did this.
Yeah, we just did that. I think because we were just well, I mean,
Yeah. It's why not?
it's here. Why not? We did do a little redo, 90-person, New Year's Eve back at my Catholic church because I really wanted to get married in my church with my priest and my dad walking me down the aisle.
Yeah.
Those little things.
Yes.
It wasn't about the party. It was more about those things.
Well, party's
the
always
party
nice.
too, but,
Cajun party's always nice.
So we did New Year's Eve. Anyway, so we started immediately and then found out that we would, have to get help, if you will. And so our OBGYN, or my OBGYN, Dr. Nicole Cole, she's amazing, sent us to Aspire. And Dr. Randall Dunn, who was recommended by Dr. Mark Cohn, all these amazing people.
Yeah,
I got to tell you this part of the story. I met Dr. Mark Cohn quail hunting at Las Palmas Ranch for the South Texas Big King Ranch Charity Weekend. I'm quail hunting, and he literally is talking to us. He's known my family for a while, my in-laws. Why don't you have kids yet? Blah, blah, blah. I tell him what's going on. He's like, oh, you're going to have a baby. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, you're going to have a baby. Well, I didn't know that some of these things existed these days. And we had to do what's called IVF with ICSI. And so that's where they take my eggs. So we retrieved 10 eggs. And one by one, they place sperm in each egg, physically, one by one, to create the actual embryo, not just throwing them in a petri dish and hoping that they hang out together.
Oh, so they actually implant them together.
They have to implant them.
Yeah.
Because we were having a problem with the sperm actually penetrating my egg.
Yeah. They weren't talking, not communicating.
They were not talking. We had a 1%, chance for the sperm to penetrate the egg. So we created 4 embryos, ended up making it to the next round, and we did opt for testing because of my age. Now I was, 38, and this is obviously a very expensive.
She doesn't look 38. This is not fair.
I know.
Woo! Thank you.
No.
Thank
No.
you.
No.
My energy's like 22, so I like it.
Yeah, your energy.
So I got to match that. You know how you match
I'm
your
like
age?
52 and my energy's 38.
Stop.
Yeah, we're good.
You
We
look
can just get it.
So you think, okay, so I don't want to have a chance of miscarrying if I don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a very expensive process.
So there's a bit of
Period,
selection
end
that
of
has
story.
to happen.
I mean, we don't have
Yeah.
just like money falling
Agree.
out of the sky.
Yeah.
So we tested, and that's what I was telling you. The only time I ever got emotional during the entire process was when I got the call. I was eating a breakfast taco in Port O'Connor, Texas. Just got off the water, duck hunting.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you have 1 grade A healthy embryo, and the other 3 are abnormal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Here I was thinking I was buying a Suburban because I'm going to transfer 4, and have 4 kids. And no, that was not the case.
Did you want 4?
Oh, we made a commitment to God that whatever embryos we created, which is risky, very risky, we would transfer.
Yeah.
And we made a promise to our priest we would do the same thing. He asked us to make the best moral decisions
that's
possible.
so interesting right there.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole other conversation.
Yes, it is. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I'm fearful of doing IVF again in a second.
Yeah.
So we made that promise.
Wow.
So 4 was going to be it, regardless if you wanted 4 or not. I was like, that's it. Buying the Suburban.
Right.
So all right, we get ready for the transfer. And actually they did something that was a little different as well. They did a mock transfer. So they got my body ready with the progesterone and then did a biopsy to actually see if my uterus and the lining and everything was just ready to go. Absolutely perfect to hold that embryo. And it was. We got the green light. We transferred in August, and you have to wait 10 days.
To see if it takes.
Yeah.
10 days.
Wow, that's like whoa.
And I did not cheat and take a pregnancy test before. I waited. We go in. They do the blood work. I'm at the office. Here's the phone call coming in. I'm now shaking, which I didn't think I would react that way because I put everything in God's hands. And I'm shaking. And I said, okay, I have to patch my husband in. And I run into Shantae's office. And all the girls obviously know what's going on. And they said, all right, James and Brittany, you're pregnant. And I mean, my body got hot. You just start crying and hugged all my employees as hard as you could, and because we're all women, and then went home and looked at Bobby and said, "We're pregnant."
We're pregnant.
And little Stevie. And I remember that. I cried that day, Brittany. I cried because, Brittany, you're so open about your life. You're so open about your life and the journey, the many different journeys you've been on to come here. And you shared your pregnancy story. The in vitro, you shared, I'm in the hospital. I'm waiting. I just got out of the hospital. I'm in pain. I mean, we followed the whole thing. And so there was something about your faith. You kept saying, when this will work. So I'm excited. This will work. And I'm thinking, God, please let this work. Please, God, for the sake of her faith, let this work. And so when you're like, it worked, I'm pregnant. I was like, oh my God, it was amazing.
Well, yeah, because I took a huge risk that I really didn't think about. I think beforehand, before like really showing the world what you have to go through. And it was an inspiration to a lot of other women that are all battling infertility. And by the way, whether it's the male or the female that's battling infertility, it's on both sides of the game. It was very inspiring. And I had so many amazing women reach out to me and, just share different stories or, we transferred 5 times and it never worked. So we adopted our 3 kids. Or so then that, inspired my husband and I, and we said, okay, we're going to adopt if we can't have our own. And
kind of had your path of what, what's next.
It was a beautiful thing, but I took the risk of, if they would have said you're not pregnant, announcing that to the world. And then having to, but it's almost like I was telling you, it was my therapy and coping mechanism to share it and then receive feedback, love, support, stories from other people. Because it was hard on my husband to go through that. So, and then
it's hard on anyone.
It's hard on everybody.
Well, of course.
It's hard on your family to watch. You're having to go through your friends.
It's a lot. It's a lot to go. And you go through it generally alone, in the sense that women go through this alone. As much of our husbands are like, I'm right here. Still, we go through this alone.
We go through it alone.
It's shots for medicine for yourself. You're in the hospital bed it's you.
It is. And then also, for me, it was like, well, again, it's whatever's God has in his plan. But a lot of your other friends are just getting pregnant.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Right. And then there's just a little tiny group of us that are in the 1 in 8 that we, this is.
Yeah, that it's challenging
on one side or the other. Again, it's challenging. And so there were a few, stories of, well, not for me, but why me or what? And it's like, well, why not me? Right. Why not me?
But we're in the whole industry, all of us, of people having to say, why me?
Correct.
That's all we deal with all day.
Dealt
people
what I consider the bad card in childhood
which
cancer.
I've heard you say with childhood cancer.
It's a bad card.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up a bill. It was SB 1277. So a friend of mine, Callie O'Malley, her daughter, Lauren O'Malley, helped put together a bill with Texas Ledge. It was called SB 1277 by Tam Parker. And it was the fertility preservation bill for cancer patients. So that insurance would pay for fertility preservation when they were going through before chemo or treatment.
Fantastic.
Be able to preserve your eggs. There's an amazing doctor at MD Anderson and her clinic. I can't remember her name. I wish I should have done this beforehand. Do you know which one it is?
Yes, because you're going to love this. When I went to auctioneering school.
Yeah.
Kate.
Wait. She went to auctioneering school?
She's an auctioneer. No,
what?
Story.
It's crazy. But Kate, who went through cancer, who's 25 years old, she was at MD Anderson, and they did an egg retrieval to freeze her eggs beforehand. She started treatment.
Right.
Well, guess what? She couldn't afford to do the pay for the egg retrieval because it's not covered by insurance.
Right.
So her mom and friends got together and funded this, and so now she has Kate's Cause, which raises money for that for project at MD Anderson.
Oh, I love it.
So girls don't have to worry about paying for it.
Right.
And think about even the young kids. St. Jude does it too, right?
I love that.
Think about a 10-year-old little girl or a 13-year-old little girl.
So they're harvesting eggs for a 10-year-old?
Don't quote me on the age, but they're harvesting eggs for
for cancer patients. That's awesome.
As early as they can, they are, because a lot of times the treatment causes infertility. It does.
Brittany, how is well, I want to ask 2 questions, but I and I'm going to ask both, and then you do what you want with both.
Sure, I love it.
One, I want to know what you're so passionate about what you do, and if you watch Brittany for more than 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15, you're going to see the passion ooze out of you. You have no barriers, no limitations. You're not self-conscious. You're not embarrassed. You cut your hair in front of 650 people.
She's going to be Jen's new best friend.
Yes, 100%. Like she's Brittany. You really are
outlier.
Amazing, and we only have amazing people on this podcast.
No,
I'm going to say we really do. But my first question is: having Stevie, has that given you a new perspective on what you do when you see these kids with cancer, little babies? And then the other thing I'll ask you, and I know you deal with all kids with cancer, is your colleague said to you, you're all gas and no brakes. Why do you think you're like that? Do you think it's a coping mechanism? Do you think it's just your personality? Why are you like that? I'm curious.
Okay, well, let's start there.
Okay.
That's a great question in terms of do you think it's a coping mechanism? And maybe it is. I've been in survival mode since I was 16, right? When, you grow up on a farm and work ethic and responsibility is just all that matters.
Yeah.
And my dad always said, doesn't matter where you go to school, where you don't go to school, if you outwork your neighbor, you can do anything. And so that was just instilled in us, and I really took it to the next level and had a job at 13,
Wow.
But when my parents divorced and things got really sideways for us, I had to learn how to survive on my own, financially,
really,
emotionally. Yeah. My, my mom, unfortunately, went into rehab for addiction, and then my dad just went into a really deep dark depression and was already dealing with PTSD from his helicopter crash offshore. My brother was in and out of schools and expelled here, and it was just chaotic. And we have a very small family, so it was like my grandparents and us.
Right.
And so I had to survive, or you can go the route of playing the victim and poor me, and just, I don't know, fall down a path or follow a path that just isn't good, which is normally what happens to people.
So on the spot, you think it was a coping mechanism?
I do. Now that you say that, because a lot of people tell me, Brittany, you've been in survival mode. That's why you are the way you are. That's why you're deemed aggressive as a woman. That's why you're, you can wow a room and have this exorbitant amount of confidence. It's because you just had to push and make it happen for yourself. I had to pay my rent. I had to pay my gas, my car insurance. I mean, I was balancing a checkbook at 17, and my friends couldn't even take out the trash. In college. They didn't know how to wash their clothes. You know what I mean?
No. Very different story.
Very different story. I paid every single dollar to go to UL in Lafayette and never took out a student loan because I was like, wait, my dad told me we don't go into debt.
Thank you to our sponsor FlipLock for making this episode possible. FlipLock is a door lock unlike any other lock that was created as a nationwide, straightforward solution to protect your people, whether that be in universities, dorms, daycares, hospitals, or even government buildings. It can be added to nearly any door to keep you and yours safe. We are proud to have such a strong and like-minded sponsor of the Balanced Voice podcast. Check out FlipLock at fliplock.com. That's FLIPLOK.com.
Do you also think
22.
Did you also feel this calling that like there was so much to do you couldn't stop? Like that's what I feel sometimes. Like sometimes I'm like I've taken a year off, like I'm sabbatical for almost a year, and I'm like, and I've paused, and it's felt good. And probably, you know, if I normally go 200 miles an hour, maybe I'm going 75 right now, right?
That's awesome, by the way. How do you do that?
It's a process.
I saw you hit a wall.
Yeah, I hit a wall. I lost my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when I lost my dad. Thank you. When I lost my dad, that you're right. The life made me hit a wall. But do you have this? Like I have this thing inside. I'm like, okay, well maybe I'll get out of the nonprofit space, and you know, there's a lot of great people doing the anti-trafficking stuff. A lot of great survivor overcomers that are speaking. A lot of good nonprofits. They're collaborating now. It's getting better. You know, the collaboration's getting. I'm not saying the issue is getting better. Man, I don't have to do as much. So right now for this issue, do you just feel like there's so much to do?
Yeah.
Like you just can't stop.
I can't stop.
Yeah.
I can't stop. And
Yeah.
now to go back to having Stevie, it's a burning fire that I've always had in my belly. And now it's like you just threw a whole lot of gasoline on it because I got to the red light yesterday, turning to go into my office and thought, what would I do if I'm now that mom?
Yeah.
Because I've always sympathized and cared for and loved and wrapped our arms around these moms and dads and siblings and the actual cancer warrior.
What if that was me?
What if it's me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the reality is cancer has no boundaries. It does not discriminate. And so it could be my child when she's 5 years old. God forbid, but it could be.
Yeah.
She could be one in the 16,000 a year in the United States diagnosed. And here's the problem. It's still the number one cause of death by disease for our children. And do you see the cities painted in gold in September?
And that's the question. Why is it so underfunded?
Because
why?
Not enough people are aware, number one, that this is such a big issue.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, if it
what's the
doesn't
stat?
happen
How
to
many
me,
in children? 1 in 30 children has cancer? What do you, is there?
There's 16,000 United States diagnosed every year. That puts about 40,000 a year in treatment, just in the U.S. 400,000 worldwide diagnosed every year.
With any type of pediatric cancer.
There's so many different types.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, right.
And 1 in 5 do not survive.
Wow.
Okay. So, and 1 is just too many, right?
Yeah.
I know we celebrate this 80% survival rate in the United States, which, by the way, is primarily leukemia, which is the most common form.
Yeah.
But let's talk about brain cancer. Yeah. Let's talk about neuroblastoma.
Yeah.
Let's talk about hearing sarcoma.
Yeah.
And osteosarcoma. The deadly forms of childhood cancer that don't have the large numbers of diagnoses.
So it doesn't get a lot of funding.
Yeah. What pharmaceutical company is going to invest in research and clinical
for 50
trials
kids a year
and then create a drug for 50 kids a year, for 300 kids that get this brain cancer, for the 1,000 kids that get Burkitt's lymphoma?
I just don't understand it, because I also think these pharmaceutical companies have massive people on staff when this one lab could be because they're going to pay you anyway.
And they have a lot of good parties, by the way. Their sales parties are huge.
Really?
Yeah.
They have the money.
They can do what Pfizer just did with COVID.
I know.
What is it? The billions and billions and billions of dollars that we can't put in a few million for this type of research?
How much do you think this space needs?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can't answer that question.
And you're funding to do what? You're raising funds to do what?
So our current pledges are to Texas Children's Cancer Center. We funded the first immunotherapy center in the country for pediatrics.
Amazing.
So, it's again, the numbers in adults are much larger, so they're going to have those opportunities. Well, it didn't exist for kids until Sky High.
Right.
And Texas Children's teamed up. So that's the 7th floor. So it's the Sky High for Kids patient floor, which we opened 22 new oncology rooms and 10 bone marrow transplant units.
Wow.
Amazing.
Didn't exist. The kids were literally didn't have enough room.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's huge. And then we went with Dr. Poplack to Sub-Saharan Africa. The numbers there are staggering. So our 80% survival rate in the United States is 10% in Sub-Saharan Africa.
What's the population amount?
So 100,000 kids diagnosed every year.
Wow.
90,000 die.
God.
Wow.
And I love Joe Kern is on our team, and he says it best because Cullen Spitzer at our banquet in March said, it shouldn't matter where you're born in the world.
Yeah.
And
right.
You know, meaning having a choice of whether you're going to live or die.
Right.
They don't have the infrastructure, the drugs, the doctors, etc. So Texas Children's went into Uganda and Botswana and Malawi, and they are training doctors to become pediatric oncologists. First, let's learn how to diagnose the disease. Second, let's learn how to treat it. And third, let's get the drugs and infrastructure that's needed. And so it's been 8 years now, I think. They've treated their, 10,000th patient, and the numbers are skyrocketing in terms of survival rates. Because, y'all, leukemia, they didn't even have chemo. They didn't know what it was.
It's like you're moving the needle, though.
We're moving the needle, which is what we want to do. We want to move the survival rate needle forward, and we want to give kids the access that they deserve. So that's 20 million total with the immunotherapy center here in Houston, and then sub-Saharan Africa, which we'll go back next summer. I cannot wait so we can go see our facilities. And then at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and there's only one of its kind in the world. It's you got to go one day. It's amazing. Yeah. $20 million. We just opened the first research floor in the Advanced Research Center, which is home to the neurobiology department. So they're going to study the most deadly forms of childhood cancer.
No matter the population, just the most deadly.
Doesn't matter. So now $20 million is going to support brain cancer, bone cancer.
Amazing.
Solid.
So wait, y'all gave St. Jude's $20 million.
We have given them 13 of the 20.
Pledge. So you pledged 20, you got them 13.
Pledged 20.
Yeah.
We've got 29 million to go total. Yeah. We just say 40 million total, 2020.
And what's your time frame? When do you think you're going to close it?
I want to close in 8 to 10 years. Yeah. Okay. And we have 15 years total for our pledge commitments at TCH and 13 at St. Jude. And of course, I want to be done. So we can move on to the next project.
And how many years in are you?
We are in, we signed the pledge for St. Jude in 2019, and we signed Texas Children's in 2018. Remember, those were 2 big years for Sky High. 19 was a largest revenue year. I think we did 6.8 million, and we were on a little mountain, our hiking boots were on, and we had gotten to the top. COVID. In 2020, we think, oh yeah, this is our banner year. It's 8 million, and here comes COVID. And we literally almost had to shut our doors. Yeah. And if I and our team members would not have led fearlessly, because I'm sorry, that's what we had to do. Yeah. We would not exist today. And the 46 kids that were told today that they have cancer would have less hope. Yeah. Yeah. They would. They have less hope because there's not a lot of organizations like Sky High that exist. And the ones that do are doing amazing things, but there's so much to do. So the fire.
Do y'all collaborate? Do y'all talk?
We do. What's so awesome? Jessica Phillips, who has Big Love, if you've heard of Big Love, it's the largest service-based organization in Texas. So they go into the hospitals and bring families what they need that are inpatient. Yeah. Every single week they do this. They've got hundreds of volunteers. Her daughter passed when she was little. I think Brooke was 5, leukemia, so 15 years ago. And they recognize all the gaps that, look, the hospital can't do everything, and then nobody realizes, but normally a parent has to quit their job because your kid's in treatment for 2 to 3 years. It's a mess.
Have you heard of One Mission in New England?
I haven't.
They're amazing. And they basically, I grew up with this girl, Ashley, and her son was diagnosed with cancer. And sitting there at Boston Children's Hospital, she was like, the parking every day.
Okay. It's
the hotel.
$15 a day to park in Texas Children's.
It's like $30 in New England. I mean,
people
it's ridiculous.
Can't afford that.
No, you have to get a hotel. Some people are flying in. Like, you have to quit your job.
Some people are driving from Midland, Texas. In fact, 180 families a year are coming from West Texas to come to get treated at Texas Children's.
I have a partnership with Angel Flight. I love.
I've heard of them.
They're amazing. They started doing human rights issues now.
Sky High flies families all the time. We pay for all of that. So Jessica built Big Love to fill in the gaps that were needed when they were doing Brooke's bone marrow transplant, et cetera. So so we collaborate with Big Love, Chance for
So
Hope.
she had a child that did it. How did you come to this issue then? Because it's rare to see an advocate or an ally to spaces that are not directly affected by the issue, but then take on this big of a challenge, and you're like, wow. I mean, you know what I mean?
I'm just going to say what I think, even though I should keep my mouth shut. I think God called you to it.
Yeah, of course.
You look at your story, Brittany. There's like no other answer.
There's no
I
other
think
Yeah,
even if
totally.
you don't believe in
Get
God,
it.
that's actually the only answer.
That is the only answer.
Yeah.
I sometimes will even still today lay down at night and be like,
What?
why me?
Yeah.
Like, why do I care so much?
I get that. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And when I went to St. Jude in the Ronald McDonald in Memphis, I was 16. And I just remember being surrounded by all these
Because of your
kids.
pageant work, right?
Yeah.
So
And
that's
it was
Cattle Festival
random.
pageant, let me make that clear. I was not in the what you would consider the real big
like the
pageant.
boo-poo.
The big stuff.
Yeah.
Miss Texas. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like no
That's the
joke.
big stuff.
I mean,
That's the big stuff.
That's hard.
I was with the animals. The pageant with the
I was showing
animals.
lambs at the Cecil McCory building, and then I put on a dress and talked about dove hunting in my interview, and they were like, "Oh, this chick is cool. She should be queen." And that led me to St. Jude with our other pageant sisters, and we had to raise money beforehand, and that was it. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not understand why these kids were fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
I wasn't exposed to it the first 16 years of my life. I was on a four-wheeler and had a shotgun in my hand going in the duck blind, literally. I was a little country girl. Didn't understand it. And so all of a sudden, you see kids in wheelchairs and no hair and feeding tubes in their noses. And it's just like, what is going on? Hold on, this isn't fair.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mom, like, we got to do something about this. So my senior year of college, the same lady that took us to St. Jude all those years before said, Britt, I'm trying to get all the old girls back together to raise $10,000 so we can buy VCRs and basketball goals for the Ronald McDonald House and get a little plaque at the wall in the wall at St. Jude. I was studying for the LSAT, which I was terrible in school, made good grades, but like I just can't take a time test. So I was like, I'm going to bomb this. Drove to Houston to take Princeton review courses, plus I worked full-time in college.
Wow.
I didn't do the football games and the penny pitcher nights. It was like, go to work and
Go
study.
to school, yeah.
No, that's what I did.
I did the penny pitcher.
You did penny pitcher nights?
I don't even know what that is.
It's a penny for a pitcher of beer. She is
Maybe
so
no,
funny.
I don't think we had it.
You cracked me
Is
up.
it possible we didn't have it in Boston? I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Y'all had other in Boston?
I don't know.
It may not have been penny pitcher, but even whatever you had there, you didn't participate.
Okay, anyway, go ahead.
So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? A bake sale, a car wash? That's not going to raise $10,000. And for me, I'm like, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, I was shooting sporting clays on Fridays with a bunch of oil and gas guys that I served breakfast to in the mornings before I went to school.
They make good money. Did you get a lot of money out of them?
Yeah, $50,000.
What?
No, but I love this story.
It's
She
insane.
got
You were in your senior year of college and you raised $50,000. Can I just say
but that
when you're I mean, I'm old as dirt.
Stop it.
But so what? You're 2 decades. You're probably younger than me, right? Is that
I'll be 39.
okay? I'll be 52.
Like next week.
I'll be 52.
Oh, happy birthday!
I know, right? We gotta celebrate.
52, you look great.
So I'm just saying at your age, and I think very few people at your age, and even coming in senior year of college, are getting involved philanthropically or charitably. I mean, I hate to say the word philanthropic because that's like big millions and millions of
But
dollars.
you think that now?
Oh, I do.
'Cause I think it's
I do
changing.
because I think we start like young professionals organizations, and yes, they contribute a little bit, and we get, but on this level,
Yeah. Well,
no. Like, so when let's say when you were 20, how old were you when you were coming out of college?
21.
Okay, when you were 25, let's say when you're 30 years old, how much money were you raising?
Oh. I mean, a couple $1 million a year.
No.
Then, yeah.
yeah,
not
that's
happening.
that's
At 30
you're
years
right.
old?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
I was still building career, not realizing I could do both.
And raising it the hard way, too. We were hosting clay shoots and banquets and,
Right.
you know,
It was what you were interested in, is you found that circle of influence and then just started raising
correct.
that.
And the oil and gas industry today is still our backbone.
Yeah, yeah,
And always
same.
will be.
Yeah,
We're
same.
diversifying for sure.
Yeah.
You know, we have banks and amazing
And
support.
individual donors.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally transformed.
But that was your base.
That was our base. It's still our backbone.
Yeah.
Always will be.
And they helped you take massive leaps forward.
Oh, massive leaps for us.
Same.
I mean, massive. Anadarko Petroleum,
Yeah.
you know, I know it's Oxy now, but they were not only boots on the ground for us for volunteer, but committees, and they wrote checks too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was the boots on the ground that helped
Yeah.
us so much.
Yeah.
Because we were 100% volunteer from 2007 to 2015.
But what's cool is that when those are the boots on the ground, those boots on the ground turn to middle management, they turn to senior management, and they turn to, so as you grow, they grow too, and they continue to grow because it's deep seated.
And now you have the leadership,
right? I mean, we have Red M, right? So we in the oil and gas industry, we started the oil and gas trafficking awareness group that built 60 companies that knew about it, and then now we've got an organization Red M. The oil and gas industry has done a lot for the multiple spaces,
multiple spaces. They don't get enough credit for all the good work that they do. So, so we raised this money, and I grabbed all my best friends that we all worked at the same restaurant, because all of a sudden, your idea turns into people actually like registering for the play tournament. And I'm like, oh God, what are we going to do for food? And we don't have a website. And I mean, they're registering on a piece of paper. Oh, we need a golf cart to raffle off. It's just one thing after another. And we host this 300-person clay shoot, bunch of 20-year-old girls in college working at Edie's, and then magic happens. Awesome. And then when we go to the hospital in November to donate the proceeds, that's when I met Bryce Norwood, who I wear on my arm every single day. He was 5 years old, fighting Wilms tumor, which is kidney cancer. He was from Louisiana, the cutest thing in the world, big brown eyes. And his dad at the St. Jude statue told me that they didn't have a lot of time left. And Bryce knew he was going to meet Jesus. He would tell us that. He knew that. And so I remember walking away saying, well, I don't have a lot of time then.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time. We have to do something.
Yeah.
So instead of just doing a one-time clay shoot and going to law school, I took the opportunity that I received from the clay shoot to join the oil and gas industry, which I knew nothing about, because I thought I had to put on FRCs and go 7 and 7 on a helicopter offshore, because that's what my dad did.
That's what your dad did.
I moved to Houston with $400 to my name in a U-Haul and never looked back. And we launched the 501c3 in 2008. Started the Lafayette, division, moved to Houston, moved to San Antonio. We started Midland in 2017, now Tulsa, Oklahoma, and
that's
we're
awesome.
raising $8 million.
I'm a little miffed that I don't have a friend that told me about this.
How do you, and where are you in the oil and gas industry? Who do you work for? Who did you work for?
I'm a little on a sabbatical, but I've worked for Halliburton, ConocoPhillips, Hewlett-Packard, Seadrill, so larger offshore drilling. So I'm in the upstream.
Boys, you're in the upstream.
I'm the upstream.
Did you know Greg Guidry? He was the EVP of Shell Oil.
No, there's so many people at Shell.
Well, I know.
But I'm really like, why? How long have y'all known each other?
A long time now.
A long time.
There's so many. Okay, so we need to tap in.
Yes, I would love to get you more involved.
Brittany, you're so inspiring. Your story is unbelievable. The work you do is so, and the way you do it is so beautiful.
Well, thank you.
You're dynamic in every way.
Well, we can't do it without all of the support in the community. Our volunteers are everything.
How many volunteers strong are you?
600 a year.
That's amazing.
Across all 5 regions.
Yeah.
Our team who puts in, blood, sweat, and tears. I've got an event director who's 8 months pregnant right now, who's like on the floor.
She's gassing it too.
Packing boxes.
Statewide director
to get ready.
Literally 9 months pregnant.
We have the Energy Classic Clay Shoot. We're kind of trying to start this big phenomenon of this operator-hosted clay shoot.
Right? Oh, nice. Yeah.
So the operators are joining. They're not competitors in childhood cancer, right?
Yeah.
And we're logistically executing the event. And so tomorrow we're hosting 92 shooting teams with Pinnacle Midstream, Summit, Navigator, Howard Energy, et cetera, et cetera.
Nice.
And so the office is a mess right now. We're packing boxes, packing trailers, because it's labor intensive to host these events. And she's on the floor just packing it up, and it's just to see that
the women's grit.
To see it. She's been with us 5 years, and we don't stop. Look at Peyton on Sunday. But what a lot of women don't know is there were a few moms sprinkled into the audience whose child did not survive.
That's very hard.
They didn't make it. They did not ring that bell. So we have a lot of work to do.
We have a survivor leader, Jessica Wesley's son is fighting cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, little boy.
It's the
Where
worst.
at TCH?
I think TCH. Yeah.
let us know. We have a Cancer Warrior package program.
Yeah.
Where we customize these packages for the family.
I love that.
It also gives HEB grocery cards, fuel cards to help with some direct relief.
Right. I mean, so I've Uber Eats a couple times to food. And
you don't realize, like they have to, do they want to worry about how they're going to buy groceries?
So I don't tell too many people this, but I had a brain stem tumor when I was 9 years old.
What?
So I know what it's like to live in a hospital for 6 months. So yeah, I mean, I think it was benign.
Did they surgically remove
say this on radio? No.
Radiation? What'd you do? Can you tell us? No.
Miraculous.
A miracle?
You're not going to put this on the thing?
We can edit it out.
Yes, it disappeared after I was prayed for. Yeah.
Did you go to a traiteur?
Did I go what?
To a traiteur.
What's that?
That's our Louisiana, that's our Louisiana stuff.
Like voodoo people?
No, not voodoo people. It's normally Catholic priest.
Oh, yeah, no.
They just have extra powers.
Really?
Yeah.
A traiteur.
A traiteur?
I've never even heard
I need to find me a
Cajun.
traiteur when I get my ass smaller. Traiteur! Can you make my ass smaller?
Yeah, my grandpa.
Lose weight here.
He went to see a traiteur for my to bless my pregnancy.
Oh,
and
my
he's
gosh.
swore, rest his soul, that's why I got pregnant.
Yeah.
So it's like these incredible things happen, so incredible people will get up and do incredible things.
I think so. But that was only the first time I almost got killed. You know, then I had the tick. I got bit by a tick.
That's
Rocky
good.
Mountain spider. But so yes, your life is blessed. You are here for a reason.
Brittany, you are awesome. And we want people to follow you, follow your journey. You have a great following, but more people should be following you. If you care about reducing crime, you care about, I always say health and safety go together.
Yes.
They go together.
They do.
The two things.
Physical health and mental health.
Yes, like the health umbrella.
Well-being.
You know, you hear you've been diagnosed with cancer and it's terminal. You are on your knees crying. You hear your child's been murdered, sexually, whatever. You are on your knees crying. Health and safety go together. The work you do, our community should be following you and supporting you and showing up at your events and doing whatever you need. You're just remarkable.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to spread the word and spread awareness. And a lot of people think everybody knows Sky High and what's going on in the childhood cancer community, but the reality is it's a blimp on the map in comparison to a city of 6 million people.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know,
but it matters.
Need to get involved. So
right.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to maybe have one new volunteer.
Yes.
No, you are awesome. Thank you for being with us on the Balanced Voice podcast. And to everybody else, we'll catch you next time. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to today's Balanced Conversation. You can find real solutions and tangible resources in our show notes at thebalancedvoicepodcast.com. To join the conversation, follow us on Instagram at The Balanced Voice Podcast and on Twitter at @BalancedVoice_. Stay up to date on Rania's work by following her at The Rania Report, and we can't wait to see you next week for another Balanced Conversation.